What if I told you the people of Pompeii didn't die instantly? What if many of them were still alive, breathing, thinking, waiting, as death slowly covered them? It is the year 79 AD. The sun is setting over the Roman city of Pompeii. Streets are busy, markets are loud, children run through narrow alleys. Life feels normal, safe, but something is wrong. The ground trembles. Not violently, just enough to make people pause. A cup shakes on a table. A dog starts barking for no reason. Some people look toward the mountain, Mount Vesuvius. It stands quiet, too quiet. This isn't the first time. Small earthquakes have been happening for days, weeks even, but no one is truly afraid. Why would they be? They don't know what a volcano can really do. Night falls. Lamps are lit. Families gather inside their homes. Laughter echoes through courtyards, but beneath it something builds. Pressure. Deep under the earth, something ancient is waking up. Then suddenly a sound, a deep cracking roar, like the sky itself is tearing open. People rush outside, they look up, and what they see no one is prepared for. A massive column of ash and fire explodes into the sky. It rises higher and higher like a dark tree growing from the earth. Smoke blocks the stars. Panic spreads. Is it the gods? Someone screams. Ash begins to fall, soft at first, like snow, but it doesn't stop. Minutes pass, the air thickens, breathing becomes harder. The smell is unbearable. Sulfur, burning, people run. But where do you go when the sky itself is falling? Some rush to the harbor. Others lock themselves inside their homes, and some freeze, because deep inside they feel it. This isn't just another earthquake. This is the end. But what no one realizes, this night will not kill them quickly. It will trap them, slowly, painfully. And some of them will remain alive, long enough to understand exactly what is happening. The ash keeps falling. At first, people try to ignore it. They cover their heads with cloth. They close their doors, they wait, but it doesn't stop. Hours pass. The streets begin to disappear. Roofs turn gray. The weight builds, slowly pressing down on everything. Inside their homes, families huddle together. Candles flicker. The air grows thicker with every breath. Have you ever tried to breathe through dust? Now imagine that dust never clears. Children cough. Old men struggle to stand. Mothers press wet cloths against their faces, trying to filter the air. But it's not enough. Outside, the city is no longer a city. It is a grave being built, layer by layer. People try to escape. Some wrap themselves in blankets and run into the darkness. But visibility is almost zero. The sky is black. Day feels like night. They trip, they fall, they disappear, and then something worse begins. The ash grows heavier. Roofs start collapsing. One house, then another, then dozens. People are crushed inside, trapped. Buried alive under the weight of their own homes. Screams echo through the darkness, but no one can help, because everyone is fighting the same battle. Survival. At the harbor, crowds gather. They wait for ships, they beg for rescue, but the sea is angry. Waves crash violently. Boats struggle to come close. Some try to swim, they never make it. Back in the city, something even more terrifying happens. The air begins to change. It becomes hotter, thicker, deadlier. This isn't just ash anymore. This is poison, and yet many are still alive. Still thinking, still hoping, because they believe if they just wait long enough, this will pass. But they are wrong, and what is coming next will make this suffering feel like nothing. The night drags on, but time feels broken. No one knows how many hours have passed. The sky is still black, the ash is still falling, but now something else creeps in. Gas, invisible, silent, deadly. It slips through cracks in doors, through broken windows, through the very air people are trying to breathe. At first it feels like dizziness, a headache, confusion. People begin to stumble. Words don't make sense anymore. Thoughts become slow. Have you ever felt your body give up before your mind understands why? That is what they feel. Inside one house, a family sits together. A father tries to calm his children. He tells them everything will be okay, but his voice is weak. He knows it's not true. His wife leans against the wall. Her breathing is shallow. The youngest child stops crying. Too quiet, too still. Outside, bodies lie in the streets. Some look like they are sleeping, but they are not. They are already gone, and still thousands remain alive. Why didn't they run earlier? Why didn't they leave the city? Because no one understood what was happening. There were no warnings, no alarms, no knowledge, just fear and confusion. And now it is too late. The gas thickens, the heat rises, people begin to collapse one by one. Some die instantly, others take longer, much longer. And that's the part history doesn't talk about enough, because many victims of Pompeii didn't die in a single moment. They suffered, they waited, they realized, and in those final moments they knew. There was no escape. Just when it seems like it cannot get worse, it does. From the slopes of Mount Vesuvius, something begins to move, fast, unstoppable. A wall of burning gas and ash races down toward the city. This is not falling ash anymore. This is a death wave. It moves faster than any human can run. It is hotter than anything they have ever felt. Hundreds of degrees, enough to burn lungs instantly, enough to stop a heart in seconds. But here's the terrifying truth: not everyone dies instantly. Some see it coming. A dark cloud rolling across the land, swallowing everything in its path. They try to run, they scream, but it's too late. The wave hits Pompeii, and in that moment, everything changes. People are thrown to the ground. The air is ripped from their lungs. Heat surrounds them. Some die instantly from shock, but others remain conscious just long enough to feel it. Their muscles tighten, their bodies freeze in place, and then silence. The city disappears under layers of ash and debris. Houses, streets, lives, all buried, but what remains is something haunting. The positions of the bodies, frozen in time, people curled up, hands covering faces, mothers holding children. Why? Because they were alive when the final wave arrived. They reacted, they felt it. And in their final seconds, they tried to protect themselves, but nothing could save them. Centuries pass, Pompeii is forgotten, buried under ash, hidden from the world, until it is found again. When archaeologists begin digging, they expect ruins, broken walls, old artifacts, but what they find is far more disturbing. Hollows in the ash, perfect human shapes, they pour plaster into them. And slowly figures emerge, bodies frozen in their final moments, a man shielding his face, a pregnant woman curled on the ground, a child clinging to someone who could not save them. It is like time stopped, like death itself was captured, but here's the chilling detail: the expressions, pain, fear, shock. These are not peaceful deaths. These are people who knew what was happening, who felt it, who tried to survive until the very end, and that changes everything, because for years, people believed Pompeii's victims died instantly. Quickly, but the evidence says otherwise. They suffered, they waited, they experienced every second. Imagine being trapped, knowing death is coming, and not being able to stop it. That is the true story of Pompeii. Why didn't they escape? That question still haunts historians. Some did, but many stayed. Why? Because they didn't understand the danger. Volcanoes were not well understood. There were no previous examples like this for them. No warnings, no evacuation plans, just a normal day turning into a nightmare. But there's another possibility. Some experts believe the early eruptions didn't seem deadly enough. People thought it would pass. They underestimated it, and that mistake cost thousands of lives. Even worse, some may have tried to return, to collect belongings, to find loved ones, and in doing so they walked back into death. It's a human instinct, hope, but in Pompeii, hope became a trap. And by the time the truth became clear, it was already too late. Today, Pompeii stands as a warning, a city frozen between life and death. People walk its streets, tourists take pictures. Cameras capture silent ruins, but beneath it all there is a story, a dark one, a story of people who didn't die instantly, people who waited, who feared, who understood in their final moments. And maybe the most disturbing truth is this: we still don't fully know how long some of them survived. Minutes, hours, long enough to realize no one was coming to save them. That thought stays with you, because Pompeii isn't just history, it's a reminder. That disaster doesn't always kill instantly. Sometimes it gives you time to think, time to feel, time to know. And that might be the most terrifying part of all. So the next time you hear about Pompeii, ask yourself, what would you have done? Would you have run, or would you have waited just like they did?